Hello and welcome to episode 2 of Why Are You Like This podcast with me and Bex. This is only our second week doing this. We are relatively new to this. If you watched episode 1, you may have noticed that you saw us in this exact same attire and setting. Don't worry about it. This
Don't worry
week,
about it.
we got an intro for you.
Yeah,
So,
you're welcome.
yeah, buckle up. You're welcome. And get ready to experience gestures vaguely. You ready, Bex?
I'm so ready. Let's go.
Let's
How
go.
you doing?
You know, I heard today, a little birdie told me that Mercury is in retrograde. Yeah,
Yep.
a little
Yep.
birdie. You told
Yep.
me this
It
morning.
was me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was you. And I'm not a super into astrology kind of person, but I do trust my friends that are super into astrology, and they're all telling me to hold on to my butt. So,
Yeah. Grab your bottle.
and it tracks right now. How are
What's
you?
going on? I'm alright.
Yeah.
I'm not too bad. I'm waiting on a bunch of different things to find out why am I like this. And we're trucking on through. We're streaming. You're on a little streaming break this week.
This week I'm taking basically like a whole 7 days away from stream. I'm still working, obviously, and doing some editing and stuff and recording. Yep, but I needed a good stream break. I'm taking some medication that's kind of making me a little um wonky. So I think it's best to just, have a little
You need a
extra time
break.
to rest. I
Yeah.
really do. Yeah. So that's nice. I'm gonna try and get outside and touch some grass.
Sounds good. I don't remember the
Hmm.
last time I went and touched grass. I live
I
in a
would
very
with you if you didn't
I know. We
live.
live thousands of miles apart.
It's kind of sad.
It
Yeah.
is quite, yeah.
We could
It's
like do a
only like
FaceTime call.
we could. It's only like a 14-hour flight.
I've done a 15-hour flight. Not to like one up that, but like I flew 15 hours from Vancouver to Sydney, Australia, and then directly after that a 5-hour flight to Perth.
Oh,
That was a lot. Yeah.
Australia is huge. The flights in between, because half my family is Australian, so we
Right.
had planned at some point to go over and see them. Um, but we worked out we'd need to fly from the UK to Sydney, and then Sydney to Adelaide, and then from Adelaide to Melbourne.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Well, it's like flying across Canada. If you're to fly all the way across, and like it
Yeah.
takes a good while to get across Canada too, so
Yeah.
maybe one day we'll meet up.
One day we'll do it.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about maybe in the future, maybe next year, we'll see. Um, Going to TwitchCon. I'm
Cool.
not. I'm not touching it with a barge pole this year.
No, me
There's
neither.
there's there's still there's still no. It just doesn't
Mhm.
feel right. I also don't like the fact it's in Vegas. Nothing
Yep.
against Vegas. I don't no, not for me.
There's a bunch of
Um,
cons going on too, apparently, at that time of year, and it's just gonna be swarming with people, which
my
that's a no from me,
yeah,
thank you.
my events management brain is going. You could have done this better.
Yep.
You really could have. So I'm thinking, but yeah, obviously they do one in Europe, which is usually Amsterdam, or this year it's Paris.
Paris, yeah.
But it's so expensive with the euro to get like to be in Paris that I'm like, I might as well save up more and go to the States because my partner's in the States and stuff that I could like
Mhm.
bring them
Go
with
see
me, that
them.
kind of thing.
Mhm.
Um, and a lot of my creator friends are in the States or Canada, so I'm like, I might as well just wait a year or two and go over for the big one than
Yep.
like go to Paris and not really. Yeah.
I have to get
No,
my
anyway.
passport updated, but I do really wanna go to a TwitchCon. This one but you're right, this year just feels especially after last year, there were so many, like remember the ball pit incident?
Oh, I remember the bull pit incident. That was
Mm.
shocking.
Apparently, they had really big issues with, like, accessibility for, like, people with disabilities too. Like, I was reading some people talking about how they had to, like, stand in line and there was no places to sit. So, like, that's a problem for me too, at least right now with the health issues I've been dealing with. So, maybe next year, maybe the year after that, and maybe we go together.
Yeah.
It'll be fun.
My brain, obviously, I said before I did events management as my degree. So when I heard about the stuff that was going on at TwitchCon last year, I was like, how How did you manage that? How did you plan an event so poorly and still make so much money, but then made enough money that you didn't offer creators, well, Twitch partners, discounts that you've offered since TwitchCon became a thing?
This is the first year they're not giving 50% to Twitch partners,
And they
50%
didn't
off.
tell anyone. They didn't tell anyone that
Mm-mm.
would be going away.
My first year as a
So
Twitch partner, and they're like, yeah, just kidding.
we'll just get rid of everything. You get a shiny
Oh,
purple badge and nothing else.
I'll take it, but still, you know,
You can talk shit about Twitch on this platform. This is YouTube, baby. We can say what we
true.
want.
YouTube would just sit up with a bag of popcorn.
Bezos isn't listening. We're fine.
No. I have a bone to pick.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I already talked to you about it a little bit, but I feel like it's important to bring this up. What is okay? In the UK, we talked about this, when you do takeaway, when you do takeout, delivery, whatever you want to call it,
Yeah.
I have some questions and I wrote some of them down because I
Okay.
got stuck. You got me on British TikTok. Like,
I
it's
did. You got
your fault.
yourself.
No,
You got yourself onto British TikTok. I had nothing
it
to
is
do
your
with
fault.
it.
Okay, Mr. Blobby,
That
I
was
didn't know
nothing
who
to
he
do.
was before you.
That was nothing to do with your TikTok. That was a stream thing, and everybody needed to learn about Mr. Blobby. Okay,
It
he's an
soiled my
icon.
algorithm.
Icon, legend, star, Mr. Blobby.
Look up Mr. Blobby if you haven't before, by the way. If you have never heard of Mr. Blobby, don't look at me, look at Bex. That's all I have to say. But say Mr. Blobby wanted to do some takeout and, is feeling like Chinese food might be the answer. Mr. Blobby would say, "Hi, I think I'm gonna order a Chinese." A Chinese.
Yep.
Why?
I don't know.
One Chinese.
It's not just Chinese though. It's like,
A
oh,
takeaway.
I'm gonna have takeaway tonight. I'm gonna order a Chinese. I'm gonna order an Indian.
Do you say that too?
Yeah.
I would never say that.
Well, I'm not.
I'm gonna order
I'm not
from the
ordering.
Indian place, or I'm gonna order Indian food. An Indian?
Yeah.
A cheeky Chinese. Like I heard someone say that.
Yeah. Cheeky Chinese.
Also, bone to pick. This is the bone, okay? What is with curry
Okay.
on Chinese food?
Well, it's
What is it with curry in the UK?
Well, okay. Curry in the UK is genuinely because
Colonialism.
yeah, we we brought a lot of people over to help in the war effort from places like Bangladesh and India, and they set up regions in the UK, and brought their flavors,
Spices.
their
Mhm.
spices and stuff like that over,
Which are
and
delicious.
which are incredibly delicious. And they made a curry called chicken tikka masala, specifically for the white people in the UK.
So that originated in the UK.
It originated in the UK. Yeah, it's not an Indian dish.
Tikka masala is not Indian.
No, it originated here. So that it was because it's slightly spicy. It's like spicy. It depends where you get it from, but
White people spicy.
It's kind of white people spicy. And it was beloved, and I believe chicken tikka masala is the national dish of the UK.
Really?
Yeah, like
what does
there
tikka
was
mean?
that much consumption of it. I won't lie to you, I don't know. I think it's the type of spice. Like masala is the sauce, is like
Spice
the actual
mix,
curry.
isn't
Yeah.
it? Yeah.
So like the masala is the curry. Tikka I think is the spice mix, or like the marination of the chicken. Because you can have different types of masala. Like you can have paneer masala and that kind of thing.
According to Google, tikka means small chunks.
Oh, okay, so that's
Hindi.
how the chicken's prepared. That makes sense.
Masala means a spice blend. So
Yeah.
tikka masala, small chunk spice blend.
So yeah, that's the UK's thing with curry.
Okay.
But
how does that apply to Chinese food?
Okay, so the curry sauce you get from the Chinese is Chinese spices. It's not Indian spiced curry.
So it doesn't taste like some tikka masala at all. Okay,
No.
okay.
It's it's like, just like curry powder.
Mm-hmm.
Just it's like no
Yellow
other
curry
spice.
powder.
Just yellow curry powder. That's what
Yep.
it is. It's a sauce made up with yellow curry powder.
if you were to
Or I
talk
think
to
if you
like
get it from a Chinese, it would have like maybe like five spice and things like that.
it's what he said.
It's you
Bex, that's inappropriate.
not a Chinese person,
No, I know. If you get it from
a
a Chinese
Chinese
takeaway place,
takeaway.
yes, I'm getting
Yeah.
this. But you see how that's like different from? I've never heard it said that way.
Yeah, I guess I've just never thought about it because nobody over here would take it as
Right, it's normal there.
yeah, it's I don't know if it's correct. I don't know if it's right. I don't know if it's the best thing, but it's not something I've heard people having a problem with. Other
No, no,
things that
no.
it's been called, that's a whole different kettle of fish.
I'm giving you a hard
But
time because I think it's interesting because I like different dialects and
it
linguistics
it
and do you know what I mean?
yeah,
Colloquialisms.
I'd never thought of it until you brought it up. But you can also get curry sauce from a chip shop, like a fish and chip shop.
Okay, what is it normal to get chips or fries with your Chinese food?
Yes,
What is
unfortunately.
that? What is that about? Because I
They
saw that
cater
too.
it's another thing of catering to the British.
White
So
people.
they like on a lot of Chinese takeaway menus, there's an English section where they will sell like
No way.
omelets,
No
chips. Like
way.
some places will sell. I've seen like steak and chips on like a Chinese takeaway menu, chicken
Okay,
nuggets to like placate the British people
I need to make
if
sure
they
that I'm
like
being clear because we don't have like authentic Chinese food here either. Like we have like Canadian or American Chinese food, right? Like Americans have something called crab rangoons, which is literally like a
I've
wonton
heard
fried
of
with
this.
cream cheese and I think crab inside of it. I've never had one because we don't have them here in Canada from what I know. But like those aren't a thing in China from what I understand. So
No,
like we do the same thing. Or we have like chicken balls or something.
we also have chicken
You have
balls.
chicken balls. I
I
watched a
think
TikTok of someone just drowning chicken ball chicken
dick and balls, drowning dick and balls. Yeah,
drowning chicken balls in
yeah,
curry sauce and I'm like
yeah.
and fries. There were chips on the plate as well. I'm like this I'm so confused but
So
intrigued.
for any Canadians or Americans listening, it's always like chunky, like fat, like steak chips with that
Mhm.
kind of thing. Never like skinny, like
They're like
McDonald's
rectangular.
fries or anything. Yeah. Um, and it's I like so there's something called salt and pepper chips or salt and chili chips, depending on
I
where you
saw
go.
that.
So it's actually more than they didn't just put salt and pepper on chips and like sell it to you for like
That's what
double
I
the price.
thought.
So it's like the chips will be fried and then tossed in like garlic, MSG, like red chili, um, cracked black pepper, stuff like that, and they're like seasoned. Essentially, they're like seasoned fries with like bits of like whole bits of chili, green onion, garlic, and they're delicious. But they're like what I'd call like I wouldn't like I get them from a Chinese takeaway that it isn't Chinese food. Like I know it's the only place I can get it is a Chinese takeaway because they use MSG, but I don't consider it Chinese food. I think the actual Chinese and Cantonese food we have over here is I don't want to say it's authentic. It depends where you go. Like when I lived in London, there was a Chinese family owned business near my house that sold like authentic Chinese food and it was absolutely incredible. But then you'll have like there's a place up north in a place called Manchester in which the takeaway was a fish and chip shop that also sold Chinese takeaway.
Interesting.
And it was a bunch of white people that had a fish and chip shop that decided, hey, we can make that, making like noodles and rice and stuff like that and selling it as Chinese takeaway from their fish and chip shop. With
Wow.
curry sauce, of course.
Of course.
Of course. I
Well,
don't like curry sauce, but I
it
know a lot of
doesn't
people that do.
I like curry, but the curry sauce that I've seen people on TikTok, like British people, dousing their Chinese food in does not look good to me. I don't know.
It's thick.
Yeah.
It's like I don't even know how to describe
Do you have ginger beef over there?
the beef.
Yeah, that's a really common like dish
No,
at Chinese foods at least in Canada.
I don't think so. It sounds good
And
though.
I've heard of like a chili beef or something over
Oh
there.
yeah, we've got sweet chili beef.
I think that's the equivalent to what we have. It has less sauce in it and it's like a breaded beef with like a gingery spicy sauce,
Yeah,
basically.
that's
Yeah.
that's pretty much what it is, but ours is a sweet and sour
See, this is
sauce.
fascinating as hell to me. Like talking about the differences between what's supposed to be the same thing, kind of, right?
Yeah.
But then you go to actual China and it's not at all the same.
Oh yeah, I had in my school we had I grew up in London. Um and London's also always kind of known as like a melting pot of like
Hmm.
cultures. Because it's the capital, and where I lived, my school was very my school was a lot of things, but it was very good on like embracing each other's cultures and stuff like that. So we would have like World Food Days where people would be invited to come in like with their families and cook something from wherever they were
School.
from, and everyone would try it, and like we would do it as like a fundraiser, and then all the money raised from like buying the different foods from the different parts would go back into our um food tech classrooms and stuff like that to get
Hmm.
more equipment and
Which
that
we
kind of
call home
things.
ec
Yeah,
over here. Yeah.
yeah, we call it DT food.
Home economics is
Yeah.
what it's always been over here.
Home
Interesting.
economics makes more sense, but home economics has that slight misogyny twinge.
It definitely does.
Yeah.
Yes, I
And I
agree.
went to an all girls school, so they called it
Yep.
design technology food where I went.
I
Because
like
we
that
had
better.
design and technology. Yeah, we had design and technology where we worked with like acrylic and wood and metal, and like we were building stuff essentially. And then we had DT food, which was let's teach the women how to make sandwiches.
What did we call woodworking and metalworking? There was a name for that. I can't
Shop?
remember.
I've heard it.
Shop,
Wood
workshop or
shop.
something, wood
Yeah,
shop, something like that. Yeah, shop. Interesting. Yeah, so I always forget you went to an all-girls school. That must have been
I
an interesting
did.
experience.
It was something.
Did
It
you
was
like when did you start all-girls school?
so we call it secondary school, which I think is what you guys refer to as high school,
What grade?
but like the whatever the lowest for high school is. Like
10?
no. Okay, so for us it's year 7. I'll
That's
put it in
middle
age
school
range. Okay, I
or
forget you
junior
guys have
high.
a middle school. Okay, yeah.
Americans
So
call it middle school, Canadians call it junior high. Yeah.
okay, yeah. So around then, so I was 11 when I started secondary school when I went to my all girls school.
Okay, wow. Wow. I went to public school for most of my life, and then in grade 10 when I moved to BC from Newfoundland, I started at a Christian school. So it's not
Mm.
an all-girls school, but it was definitely a different dynamic going there after 10, 11 years of public school. So, but yeah, I don't know how I'd handle an all-girls school. I'm not sure.
It was the reason I went there
Uniform?
was because yeah, oh yeah, uniform. Every school in the UK has uniform.
Really?
Yeah,
I thought that was
unless
just
it's
like
a
a movie thing.
oh no no we all have uniform,
Skirts and
and
socks and stuff.
oh yeah,
Oh,
like
that's annoying.
my school was a kilt.
Sorry,
It was
sorry, that's kind of
yeah,
cool.
it was a kilt. It was a wraparound kilt in green and blue, navy blue tartan, with like a
Oh,
fringing and like a leather belt. So you'd like wrap it around to secure it with a button, wrap it around again, secure it with a button, and then there was a little belt that kept it together from like flapping.
and did it fit? Was it comfy?
It was expensive to get one that fit. Like my school got in trouble because you could only buy our school uniform from one place,
Okay.
and that place charged like I'm talking like £35 per shirt, like blouse
Mm,
for school uniform, and you couldn't just have one, and you could only buy the blouses from that place.
they
So it
have
didn't
the
matter if you
monopoly.
were, yeah, you didn't. It didn't matter if you had a low income family. You weren't given any vouchers or anything. It was just if you want to go to
Nothing.
this school, and it wasn't a private school. I went to a state school. I went to a
Oh,
public.
I went to a private school for high
Yeah,
school,
yeah, no,
and we
it was
didn't
a
have a
public state
uniform.
school, and
Shit.
we weren't when I first started at the school. Its reputation was good. Literally,
Mhm.
like just before I started, it had a reputation for being a good school. That did not continue. That plummeted. We were not a great
What happened?
school. Uh, I don't know. My years started going there. We we put it this way. My school had to have police escort
Oh,
because that's another thing. English, we don't have school buses,
what? How
so
do you get to school?
public transport.
Like the public bus?
The public bus, yeah.
So they don't send yellow school buses to pick you up.
Nope.
I'm learning so much right now.
So
Wow.
some schools had like they were public buses, but they were rented out to that specific school. So for
Mhm.
those hours of the day, they would take the certain school to
Okay.
straight to their school. Um, but no, I had to take I walked to school mostly.
Mhm.
It was about a 30-minute walk there and a 30-minute walk back.
In a skirt.
Um, in a skirt, with um, we didn't have a blazer or anything. We literally had a kilt, a mint green blouse, and a
Gross.
navy blue
Gross.
sweatshirt, like V-neck sweatshirt with a green band. And we could only wear one jacket until my mum got involved. My mum literally changed the uniform of the school.
Really?
Yeah, because it was this thin, like, not double lined, like fleece material with like that shiny, like tracksuit,
Mhm. Yep.
swishy kind of thing on the outside.
Like
That was the only
windbreakery.
coat. Yeah, that was the only coat you were allowed to wear to school. In the rain,
Wow.
in the snow, you had to walk in your skirt with this one jacket. So my mum was like, "You're gonna like seriously endanger these children. Like, let them wear whatever
Mhm.
coat it is because they take it off when they get to school anyway."
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so we had to get on public transport to get to school. And there was one public bus service that went in the direction of our school. So because you gotta imagine, like, there was 180 kids per year group in my school.
Mhm.
So
Times
there
5.
were, yeah, five or six? Five
Mhm.
year groups of 180 kids each trying to use one public bus service to get to school in the morning.
Oh.
At least from
Why
my
would you have school
direction,
buses? I
because we can't fund them.
for grades 7, 8, and 9, my school bus picked me up like right in front of my doorstep. Like my best friend lived next door to me, Hillary, and we were in the same grade and both in French immersion and everything. And the bus would stop right between our houses and we'd just like hop on and it would drop us off at the school. Like we were lucky with that.
I had to get either two buses before I got on the bus that would take me to school,
Oh my
or I'd
god.
have to walk for 20 minutes to catch the bus.
No, thank you.
And the
But
reason we had to have a police escort because there were so many kids and there
why?
were the general public trying to get on the buses, and we used to get sanctioned if we were late. So
Oh
all the
my
girls would be
goodness.
pushing and fighting to get on these public buses that could only hold so many people. And we, like, people from the general public complained. They complained about our school and they complained about us being
Wow.
pushy and rowdy. So we had to have police escort on the public bus service that ran to and from our school
Wow.
because a girl from another school, she may have gotten bit
What?
once.
By who?
One of the girls from my school.
Do you know that person? Like that's unreal.
I did.
Someone bit somebody.
Somebody bit someone. They were trying to push past them to get on the bus, so she bit them. Have you seen the film Centurions?
No.
Okay, we'll watch it at some point and we'll do
Okay.
a movie night because it my school was likened to that school quite
Okay.
often, and the Centurions films are about a girls' school that does like undercover crime. Like
Okay.
we were infamous in my part of like where I lived, and it was a problem. But yeah, girls' school was fine.
Today I learned. We didn't have uniforms, but I kind of think having a uniform might be annoying, yes, because it sounds expensive, but also you don't have to pick what you're gonna wear. And also there's not that whole like judgment factor if you're not wearing like the fanciest like it was a private school I went to, right? So there were some kids with like money, and we weren't one of those families. So you'd have the kids with their fancy shoes and their like designer clothing, and you don't have that with I don't think, with a uniform. So,
We used to have non-uniform days,
oh, okay.
but you had to pay £1 to come in wearing not your school
They
uniform.
really bled you for everything that you were
Oh
worth, didn't
yeah,
they?
yeah.
Wow.
So we had to pay £1, or I think it got raised like £2 at some point. And where
Wow.
I went to school, it was called Mufti Day,
Oh my
and
god.
yeah,
Sorry,
I know. I
mufti
don't
day?
Mufti Day.
What does that mean?
I have
I'm gonna
no
be
idea.
Googling so much of this. Mufti?
Mufti Day.
I
Um, and it was a
That's
non-school uniform
nonsense.
day where you could wear whatever you wanted for one day, and you had to pay for the privilege, or you had to come in your school uniform when everybody else
Civilian
was like,
dress,
"Yeah, there you go."
especially as worn by a person who normally wears a military uniform. The more you know, mufti.
Mufti.
Okay. All
So
right.
yeah, we had that occasionally. So then like the girls would come in, like one girl came in with like a coat from like Harrods, which is like a really expensive store.
My mom loves Harrods.
And like stuff like that. And then there'd be other girls with like stuff from like Primark, which is like it's where I shop.
Walmart.
Yeah, kind of. Target kind of thing.
Okay. We don't have
JC
Target.
Penney, if they have that in
Not in Canada.
America. Yeah.
In America, yeah.
But that kind of thing. So it was like occasional, but the idea of school uniforms is to like level the playing field. Like
Right.
everybody has to wear this expensive uniform, no matter what you wear on the weekends or stuff like that when we walk in. And I think it was also like an identifier for like probably for like law enforcement and like the government and stuff like that. Like I could pick out what kid was from what school based on their uniform. Like if you were in the area, you
Hmm.
knew what school was what. So if you saw a kid in the local like shopping center stealing something or something in their school uniform, you could
Then
be
you
able to go
have.
and be like, they go to this school. And my my school took it a step further, and we had lanyards with our like school ID cards on them, and they're a particular color based on your year group. So if you
Okay.
saw a girl in my school's uniform with a red lanyard, you'd be like, "That's a year 7 girl from such and such school." And
We
yeah,
do
it was
have
just
schools that have uniforms. Like there's
mm,
SMU, St. Michael's University, and like you know that you see SMU kids when it's just a bunch of skirts and you know, uh, I guess British looking uniforms. But my school is a private Christian school, but for some reason they never brought in uniforms. They were talking about it. They brought it up almost every year and it never happened. They were really strict on things like not wearing spaghetti straps or making sure that your skirt is at least, what is it,
oh,
3 fingers above your knee at least. Yeah, yeah. They had rules like that. And I don't think I ever got in trouble for that. I got in trouble once for makeup. Because they
mm,
had rules about makeup. They were like, you had to
we
have, like,
did.
limited makeup if you were in these grades or whatever, and I slapped the eyeliner on so hard when I was, like, 15, 16. So, yeah, they were kinda like, "Well, it's a little bit scary. It's a little like, maybe you can go for more natural look." I'm like, no." This was when,
Oh,
like,
so
MCR was, like, everything, right? Like,
you were allowed to wear makeup, it just had to be like understated.
exactly. It was had to be by their standards. Yeah.
Oh, okay. We weren't allowed to wear any
At all?
at all. People didn't listen. They'd
Okay,
just
yeah.
deal with getting the sanction, but we weren't allowed to, like, if there are a couple of teachers that if they saw you wearing mascara would hand you a makeup wipe and be like, take it off.
Are you serious?
I'm
It's
serious.
just mascara.
We had to have our hair bubbles had to be
Say that
black,
word again?
blue bubbles.
What's a bubble?
Or like I see I was trying to hairband, hair tie.
Like you call it a bobble?
Some people do. I don't. I call
Even
it a
though it doesn't have
hairband.
a bobble on it?
Yeah. Some people still call that a bobble. I'd call it a hair tie or a
I call it
hairband.
a hair elastic.
Oh, it's very literal.
Sometimes I'll say hair tie. No, not really. No, it's elastic.
I
You've seen a
usually
hair
say, "Oh,
elastic.
like, can I borrow a hairband?"
Interesting.
Yeah, they had to be black, green, or blue. They couldn't be fun
Oh, school
colors.
colors.
Yeah,
Huh.
and
Weird.
it got relaxed. This is what I mean by like my school got worse as I went up through the years. Like when I first started, they were very strict. Like we had this sounds so antiquated and it is awful. I had a teacher. I watched her make my friend kneel on the ground and see if her skirt touched the ground when she was on her knees
That's
to see if it was
degrading.
long enough. Yeah, it was awful. I complained.
Yeah.
I said to the teacher, I was like, where does it say in the school rules that you can do that? And she
Mhm.
was like, "Oh, well, I'm the head of the department." Blah, blah, blah. And I was like, "But where does it say?" I was one of the, I
Mhm.
was like very
You
not
and me
having it
both.
because we
Mhm.
used to roll up our skirts because the kilts when you got them were below the knee length,
Okay.
so we
So you'd
looked
roll them up at the waist. Okay. Yeah, right.
yeah, so we'd like roll them up by our waist. So we'd all have like, this chunky band around our middles where our skirt had been like rolled up. And most of the teachers, like, as long as it wasn't like up your ass, they'd
Yep.
like let you get away with like, okay, you've rolled your skirt. Like, I'm not gonna tell anyone. But there was like a
Mhm.
certain couple of people that would be like, roll your skirt down right now. It was
Uh,
yeah,
What's
it was
interesting
fine.
is that, like, it wasn't that bad for me in high school, but when I went to hair school, hair
Mm.
school was a trade, right? Like, I was there for 10 months, 5 days a week, $8 $8 8 hours a day, And I had so many conversations with, like, the owner of the school where I thought I was doing something, and I really wasn't, 'cause this is an old hair school, it's been around for a while, and they wanna talk about antiquated. So, the girls had to wear makeup. If you were a hairstylist, you had to at least have mascara and a lip color on. If you were an esthetician, you had to have a full face. Blush, contour, everything. The men, the boys, not the same. They didn't have to wear any makeup. You had to have a black shirt underneath with black socks, so you had to pull up your pants and show your socks. Every day they do checks. Open your cloak to show that you're wearing a black shirt with sleeves. You had to have your nails painted, was the other thing. They made it so, yeah, if you were a girl, you have to wear full makeup, everything, but, like, if you were a boy, you could walk in just, like, having just woken up, and you were fine. And so I complained about that, and I was like, "I just don't understand, like, some people have allergies and can't wear makeup, and why not make it applicable to the men as well, and they have to wear mascara too? Like, it doesn't make any sense." No, they wouldn't listen. But they also wouldn't listen to me about the discussion of, like, men's cuts versus women's cuts because,
Yeah.
you know, women can have short buzz cuts too. Then no, that I had just come out of, college, like, university, learning about, like, the sociology of sex and gender. I'd just taken a course on that, and then I went straight into, like, a trade, where it was very dated in terms of, uh, expectations on different genders. They didn't like what I had to say, but I was mad. "You're gonna make me put a full f" ugh, anyway, I
That
love hair
sounds
school.
awful.
It was special.
We have something called a BTEC, um, which is essentially like it's that you either do A levels or a BTEC. So
Okay.
A levels are like qualification graded things over like a variety of subjects, or you took a BTEC, which was like a specialized trade qualification kind of thing at like the age of like you'd start them around like the age of like 16, 17, like that kind of thing. Um, and I knew a couple of girls that did hair and beauty. And they didn't have to do like the hair and makeup thing. A lot of them did because obviously they were interested in it and
They're
they
studying
wanted
it.
to.
Yeah.
But they had like a uniform they had to wear, which was
Okay.
um like a tight blue like smock kind of
Mhm.
thing with like a collar that was like really fitted and then like trousers of the
Okay.
same color. And that was how you could tell the hair and beauty girls. But
Hmm.
other than that, they weren't forced to wearing it. It was probably encouraged like behind the scenes, but it wasn't ever a hard and fast rule. If anything, it was like if you wore too much, they'd come up to you and be like,
Interesting.
you're going a bit far with that, you know?
It's a bit much.
A little bit much.
Well, today I learned that I'm glad I didn't have to wear a uniform in in high school. I did in hair school, but, um, I especially as, like, a fat kid, like, I was really anxious at the idea of a uniform because 'cause I'm like, "How am I gonna make sure this skirt's gonna fit my hips and fupa properly? How am I gonna" That was always
See,
a thing.
the kilts were a little bit easier for that because if your mum was good with sewing, she could move the button.
Mm,
So instead of because obviously the skirts were so expensive to
yeah.
buy, they needed to last you like a whole year, if not
Mhm.
longer. And obviously you're growing at that point. You're like between the ages of like 11 and 16, so you're growing
Puberty,
in
your
all
hips,
yeah, like
yeah,
so
yeah.
many different ways. And not every family could afford to keep buying new skirts. So
Mhm.
they would move the buttons from like the inside so that it would like wrap
Okay.
a little bit less, and you could get away with up to a certain point before like it wouldn't like wrap all the way around again. But yeah, it was you also had to wear a blouse all the time, and if you had like big boobs, like if you developed earlier than a lot of the girls, they didn't fit or the buttons would like
That would've been me.
stretch and then they'd be like you need to buy a new shirt. Like that's not school
"Sorry, your shirts
appropriate.
don't fit my tits." Like, I don't okay, this is bringing back a memory. A specific memory, not related to school, but related to being in a fat body, and
Mm.
it's a why am I like this moment, okay? And I'm not a person that goes to the spa, like, I feel like I can't really afford to treat myself to, like, massages, plus I'm socially anxious, and that's kind of a nightmare. But Brandon treated me on my birthday, this was 5 years ago probably, to a pedicure at a really
Mm.
nice spa. It's called the Westin at Bear Mountain. It's on the top of this hill that's nearby that it's really pretty up there, and he knows I like the top of Bear Mountain because we lived there briefly, my family and I. So he gifted that to me for my birthday, and I was like, you know what? I deserve this. I deserve to go get a pedicure. I'm anxious, but let's go do it. And the way that it works is that you check in and you get access to this like really calming sitting area. I guess it's like that in most spas. I don't have a lot of experience. You go in, there's a beautiful view, there's like a hot tub, there's magazines to read, there's spa water or agua fresca that you can get with like fruit in it and stuff. And but you are expected to go into the changing room first, change out of your clothes and change into a robe. So I get there, I'm alone. Your face. I'm alone. And I go in and I get a locker and I'm so anxious. And I'm like, "Okay, it's going to be calming. It's going to be good. My toes are going to look good." Put my stuff in the locker, grab a robe, put it around. I kid you not. There's like this much space. Like this much space left. I can't, there's no way that robe would close on me. And I'm like, everybody's wearing robes out there. I can't just walk out with my Coldplay shirt or whatever I was wearing at the time. I don't know.
That's probably a Coldplay shirt.
Probably. I was wearing something like comfy because I figured I'd change out into something like that. And no, it wouldn't fit me. And it was like the largest one. And I kept thinking to myself, out of all the people who come here, there have to be other people my size. And I was smaller than I am right now at that point, who like it made me feel really bad and feel for the people who wouldn't fit into it. So I think if I remember correctly, I think I brought a towel and like put it inside and like
Mm-hmm.
and then did this and then I wobbled out there. But it was really awkward and I could probably recount many, many different occasions in my life where something like that's happened. You know, like we're in school and we're running to get jerseys, you know, the like neon jerseys that you would get to go different teams. And I'm like strapped in like this.
Yep.
Why wouldn't they make robes to fit? I've been seeing ads for towels for fat people. Have you seen
Oh my
that?
god, bath sheets.
Yeah, yeah, bath sheet, like
I
a
have
proper.
one. They are
Oh,
incredible.
maybe I need to get one because
You
the one I
do.
saw, it was like $130 or something, and I was like, that's too much. That's for
Oh,
me to spend on a towel.
no, no. You can get
Yeah.
them for like $20.
Okay.
Any.
I don't
Just
have
look for,
one.
if you're looking for towels, you're at any like home goods store or like anything like
Bath
that.
sheets.
Bath sheets, yeah, not
Okay.
bath towels because bath towels don't fit me. Bath towels,
No,
even at
me
my
neither.
skinniest, never fit me because I have wide
Mm-mm.
hips
Same.
and wide. Like, it never. No, it's not gonna
No, like
happen.
I'd be holding it and it would just split open on the
Oh,
side.
hotels. I shared a hotel room with a friend
Mm-hmm.
once, and I got out of the shower and I was like, "Okay, listen, this this doesn't go around me, so you have a choice to make here. You either get in the boat and row, or you close your eyes."
Yeah.
And
You're gonna have to bear with me.
she was like, "Okay, yeah, that's fine." And I think I still ended up like getting changed in the bathroom or something because I was like, "This towel does not go around me," and like she came out and my friend's like, she's tiny, she's a
Mm-hmm.
tiny little woman, um, and the towel barely went around her like properly
Wow.
like twice, and she was like, "How do they expect people to
They don't.
to live?" And I was like, "Yeah, they don't." And she was like,
They don't think of
"What
us.
the fuck?" I was like, "Welcome." I was
Welcome to
like,
the experience. And like
"Yeah,
that's what gets me is that like this is no hate whatsoever, but to think about being a thin person navigating through this world and never having like well or rarely having the thought of like that's not made for me or why wouldn't they think of me? I'm paying money to be here. Like I like that's not a lot of my friends growing up were very thin, small people and I remember having a lot of those like aha moments like wow, you and I are not the same. We don't go through the world the same way at all, right? Which is often why I would ask that question.
yeah,
Why am I like why me? Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
yeah." Like it's when I was a lot thinner than I am currently because I was like a teenager. I was still the biggest out of all of my friends.
Mhm.
And I'm talking like at max like size 10, 12, like small
Yeah.
sizing.
That's smaller than average in
And
North America.
yeah, so we would
Yeah.
go to Hollister. Right, they had
Oh
Hollister
god.
stores all over the
I
UK,
would
and they
just
were
go to
like
smell the air. That was it.
they they looked like beach huts, right? And
Yeah.
they had like a whole front storefront, and all my friends would go in, and they'd pick out a new like top or a
Shirtless
new.
men.
Yeah,
Do you
they
have
go
shirtless
stare
men
at
too?
the. Oh yeah,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
that
yeah.
was when women in bikinis like going like, "Hey, welcome to the surf," but in like a UK accent, so it was awful. Um, and they would go in there and they'd pick up clothing and stuff like that. Nothing in that store fit me.
Mhm.
The biggest size they did was a large. They didn't do extra large. I'm talking like back in
I
like
hate stores like
this is
that.
like 2013 now, so I'm assuming they may have come a little bit further on, but probably not.
Do you have Aritzia there?
No.
It's just very similar. They only go up to like a size large. Nothing
Yeah.
fits me in the store. A scarf, maybe, like,
And I was
but
like 12, 13 going into the store being like, "Oh my god, nothing in
women's
this
size
store."
charts. Hollister only goes to large. I just checked, at least in Canada. Yeah,
See,
nothing's changed.
I'd go in and I'd be like, "Nothing fits me." Oh my god, I am ginormous.
Yeah,
Nothing in this store, everything fits all my
but looking
friends.
back, you weren't. You know
No,
what I
I was
mean? Yeah,
tiny. I was
yeah.
absolutely tiny. And it was like a moment where I realized I was like, holy crap, it started that early on of me thinking, oh my god,
I'm a bust.
I am
Yeah.
this huge, ginormous creature. I wasn't.
Mhm.
I was barely anything at
Mhm.
that age, and I was still growing and I was still developing. But I remember I would buy so much Hollister body spray perfume
Mhm.
because I would feel bad going in there, and all my friends would pick up something to wear, and I'd be like, well, I have to buy something because like we come in here, so like I should buy something because as well everybody used to bring their gym kits, like their PE kits, into
Yep.
school into they'd bring them in the paper Hollister bags. That was something that happened at my
Oh,
school. So
interesting. Okay.
if you didn't have one, like, oh, like yeah, we all had to wear a uniform, but you could bring in whatever bag you wanted,
So
so
you
everyone
got the
so I'd
perfume
buy
so
the
you could
body
have the gym
sprays.
bag
So I could come in with the bags.
extra. Oh.
And I mean, to be fair, I mean, it would smell disgusting now, but I loved it as a kid. It
My
smelled
sister
like
used it. I really
sugar
liked it.
and like ocean breeze or whatever. Like there was a pink one and a blue one. Love them.
Mhm.
But I just like remember being like 12 and being like, the only thing I can buy in this store is this body spray
Is a fragrance.
because nothing will fit me. And oh my god, that's like such a problem and huge spiral thing when I was like
Yep.
12, man. I'm
Mhm.
like
It starts early. Like
so much
it's
earlier than you'd think.
no. And it's not the same. It's not the same thing because it's not like size versus weight. Like obviously we know that your weight can fluctuate and many things can factor into your weight, including like water weight and muscle tone and all of that, right? But when I'm not even kidding. I think I was 11, 12, same kind of age. I was active as hell. Like I was an active kid. I was at summer camp doing like canoeing and running around, capture the flag, like more active than I've been in most of my life. And I got home from summer camp and I remember weighing myself and seeing that I hit 200 pounds on the scale and thinking, I'm 12 years old and I'm 200 pounds. Like, you are a mess. This is before I've unlearned a lot of diet culture. And like, at that time, I was a healthy damn kid. I was very healthy, but because I kept seeing that 200 on the scale, I was like battling with, I would tell myself not to eat, like all the things that a lot of fat little girls would go through. And I pretty sure you're feeling the same way that like I wish I could just like grab little Candace and be like, listen to me, go have fun, ignore the scale and just be a kid, like just have fun with your life, you know?
It's so annoying to me as well because a lot of the time it wasn't coming from anyone else but myself.
Yep.
Like I was bullied for a lot when I was a kid. 9 times out of 10 it wasn't anything to do with my weight. They just picked on me because I don't know, I hadn't developed my fuck you attitude yet.
Mhm.
Um and my friends would always be like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like I'd be like venting to them and be like, oh my god, and they'd be like, because I realized now they were going, I don't know what she's seeing, but it's not there.
Yep.
And then did you have a Wii when you were growing up?
It used to tell me that I was morbidly obese every day of my life, and you know what? I believed it. I would get off that scale and go cry in my room for 3 hours.
Yeah, like 10 years old, stepping on a Wii Fit board and it's saying
Tragic.
like it would like make you put in your age, make you put in your height, and then
I
get
can
on
hear the
it.
sound. Ding, ding,
It
ding, like
also
counting up.
did it say out when you used to step on it as well? Because I took
Yes!
that so personally. Like you'd
That's
step on it and
so
go,
mean.
ouch! And I was like,
Yeah.
I'm sorry that and it'd be like,
Like a
oh,
wee
like for your age, you are we fit. Yeah, it's
we
like you are
fit. Yeah,
morbidly
yeah.
obese. And I was like, sorry?
First of all, the word obese actually isn't like if you talk to any doctors that are actually savvy in diet culture and fat people in general, they don't use the word obese, right? Like
It's because it's
it's
calculated on BMI, and BMI is rooted in racism, and it's not
mhm.
real. It's not
It's
real.
no,
Like the
it benefits
reason
the patriarchy and racist
yeah,
ideology. Go look it up,
it's
by the way. If you don't believe us, go
yeah,
look up
genuinely
BMI
look it
and
up.
where it
We're not just
originated.
we're not just fat people
We're not making
bitching.
this
Being
shit
like
up.
we're not
Yeah.
obese. Like no,
People
genuinely,
aren't listening to us though. That's
no.
the thing. So
Um, but
anyone who
it's
uses BMI, I'm like, I don't know how much research you've done,
no,
right?
it's ridiculous. And
Yeah.
I just remember, and the reason it called me morbidly obese was I did dance class once a week. I'd done karate for years. My legs were really strong. I had a lot of muscle in my legs, and also
Hmm.
I developed reasonably early. I had hips and an ass and boobs.
Yep.
And that's the weight
Same.
it was calculating on me, and it
Yep.
was like, well, you're only like 12, and you're only like 5'5". You shouldn't. I'm 5'7" now, but like, you're only 5'5". You shouldn't be this size.
I
And I
got
was
the
like,
same story. And I was similar. I was really active. Like I was swimming
yeah,
4 times a week. I would go in before school because I was on the swim team and stuff. So I did have like a bunch of muscle and I didn't think about it. I didn't think about it at all. I would just hop on and be like, and jump
yeah.
off. And my sisters would get on and they'd be fine. And I'm like, okay, it's just me.
I'd walk.
Honestly,
I
fuck you, Wii
was
Fit.
fuck you. Yeah, fuck you, Wii Fit. Like for
Uh,
stuff, fuck you.
like we're
Um,
still reeling from this. So
genuinely, like I'm 25 now,
I'm
and
31.
I'm still mad. Um, but yeah, it was something that just.
It's just it's the part of the show where it's just Candace now.
Sorry, I disconnected from the Discord call for
It's
a
okay,
second
you're
there.
good.
This happened last week as well, and I don't know why it keeps happening.
It's the ghost. It's the
It's
podcast hunting ghost.
That's right. That's what it is. I don't know.
Mm,
They would have seen from my face because obviously our camera's going to be side by side. You'll be like, oh, like Bex is left, and it's just my eyes going, yeah. So
that was
so,
my
like,
face. I
frantically
just got
clicking,
bigger and was like,
frantically clicking, trying to get back on the call. But yeah, like I'd walk an hour, like half an hour to school, half an hour back every day.
mhm.
Like I was doing dance class stuff like that. I was active. I
Be
was
biking
healthy,
outside,
and
like
I'm still reasonably like the jobs you know what jobs I've previously done, like it's on
yep.
my feet, like I've been up, like yeah, my
Hmm.
body would hurt afterwards, and for my health I need to get stronger,
Yep.
but I'm not thinking about myself in the same way anymore, which is it's quite nice.
I honestly, even though, okay, so like to be honest with you, the past 2, 3 years, my life has been very different from other years of my life because of the pandemic. There's also been the fact that my job is full-time content creation now, and I've worked really hard to make it that. So all of my
Mm.
efforts go into sitting at my desk and learning how to edit, learning how to and planning events and gaming and it's a lot of sitting, okay? So for the first time in my life, I'm not like physically active and I feel that. I can feel my
Mm.
muscle like kind of leaving and I don't feel the stamina that I used to have, but it puts things in perspective because I look back at when I worked at Starbucks. I was working like 12 to 14-hour days on my feet, very little breaks, just running back and forth, pivoting, spinning, crouching, like squatting to pick up boxes and stuff. And I've always been active up until the past few years, and I feel it. Now I'm like, "Oh, okay. Like, it's time to find some sort of way to get activity back in my life." But back then, I was thinking like, "Oh, you're such a slouch. Are you kidding me? I did more than your average Joe. That plus going to the gym when I used to go to the gym
Yeah,
too. Anyway, hiking, yeah. They really
it's
brainwash you
they really do, and
early.
it's like I still struggle with body image and stuff like that a lot of the time. I think everybody does, no
Yep.
matter what size you are. And I struggle being a bigger person, and I'm always very scared to say to myself, I think I want to lose a little bit of weight, because I then either I'm worried I'm going to spiral with it and get
Go too
hyperfixated on it
far.
and then go
Yep.
too far, or I'm worried like, am I doing this for the right reasons? Am I do I only just want to lose weight because people keep calling me fat on the internet,
Yep.
and then I'm
Is it
like,
for the right reason? Yeah.
yeah. And I think so somebody said to me once, which is such a weird compliment, and I know she did mean it as a compliment, but it's kind of backhanded, but it's kind of something that stuck with me that I quite like. Is someone, when I was in secondary school, one of my friends, she said to me one day, she went, you know, I think you'd look really weird if you were really skinny. And that's a backhanded compliment, because
Yeah, it
it's like,
is.
but
What if you
you
get
know, I
really
think
sick and
she's
you lose weight
yeah,
and you
but you know,
can't
I think she's right. I think because I have wide shoulders and wide hips and stuff like that.
Same,
I
big
assume
frame.
I have no for the first like time in my life. I have no desire to be skinny.
Mhm.
I that's not my goal anymore. It was for a lot of years.
Yep.
Would I like to get back to like the activity level and maybe the like slight shape I was before the pandemic? Yeah, I was still a big girl. I'm always gonna be a big girl.
Mhm.
But would I like to get back to that for me? Because my partner doesn't care what size I am. I
Same.
am
Yep.
happy being a plus size person. I'm all good for advocating that and body. I think it is body neutrality. It's not necessarily just I want to be as strong as I was a few years
Yep.
ago before we all got locked inside for like 3 years.
What I like about body neutrality is it like a lot of the time the attitude is like, why does it matter? Like,
Hmm.
why are y'all so fascinated with my body? Like,
Yeah,
just let me have a body and leave me alone.
yeah,
That's what I like about body neutrality. Body positivity was a movement started by fat black women. Like this is like decades ago, okay, and it's been co-opted by thin white women. And we can go into that conversation. We can save that for another week. But body positivity, as much as I in a perfect world would love that to be my like what I'm going for, there's some problematic stuff woven into it, and it's not what it used to be because people have kind of taken it and contrived what um they've twisted the original
yeah.
purpose of that kind of a movement, right?
And it's not to say that if you are not fat, you're not allowed to have issues with your body.
Yeah, no.
No one would ever. That
Your
rhetoric is
feelings are
going around
valid.
a lot. Your feelings are incredibly valid, and we sympathize with you. It doesn't mean you don't have a privilege for the world is made for your size, but of course you're allowed to not be happy with what you see because we're all brainwashed at the end of the day.
Diet culture doesn't discriminate based on your
No, it does
size.
not. It
No, no.
absolutely does not. And I think that's something that everybody just needs to. Yeah, I think you're right. It's just a why do you care? Like
It's a
it's the
meat
biggest thing is
suit.
like you're not healthy. It's like okay, recently I've been to like hospitals and stuff. I had 6 rounds of blood work.
Nothing came back.
Nothing.
And
I'm
that's the
fine.
problem.
I'm healthy. My blood pressure fine. My cholesterol fine. My everything else. I'm perfectly healthy. I'm just fat.
Yeah. And the
Okay,
fact
just
is, with like it is ableist to not be okay with the fact that like you don't need to be healthy to be to prove yourself as a fat person. Does that
nope.
make sense?
Yep.
Like it's
You don't need to
yeah,
be going to the
so
gym. You don't need to eat salads. You don't need to eat kale
no.
and be like, I'm trying to like fit in with you. No, you still deserve respect because you're just a human
Yes.
being. And
Right. I
you,
get what you were saying earlier though about that balance of like I would like to lose a bit of weight or I would like to get back to a shape that I felt better fitting in my clothing and stuff. It's like, is that diet culture in my head? Like, should I be pushing that out of my head or is that the and like I have a lot of family members who have had weight loss surgery, right? So I've also have that whole like, oh, they just they you know what I
just
mean?
got
Like
rid. Yeah,
it's done. Like
it's
they
done.
don't
They
even
just
have to
did
think
it.
about it.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's yeah, it's bigger than both of us, all of us, but I think it's important to talk about, you know.
I do too. Well, thank you for listening to episode 2 of Why You
Episode
Like
2.
This. We are no closer to figuring out why we are like this, but
Stay
it's
tuned.
episode 2. Stay tuned. We might figure it out. Um, if you have anything you want us to talk about specifically, knowing that we are two queer fat femmes who are neurodivergent as heck, let us know. Let us know in the comments. We hope you're enjoying it so far. We're actually recording this one before any have gone out yet, so we're doing this blind with no feedback from you guys yet. So, uh,
2 whole
yeah,
episodes before even putting one out. Yep.
yep. So there's a lot
Leave us
that's gone.
comments.
Yes, please leave us comments. Let us know what you liked. If you have any constructive criticism, as long as you're nice to us, just please do let us know because we're learning.
Yeah, don't
And we're
test us.
don't
Sorry.
don't test us because you don't want to do that. We'll sit on you.
We've been queer fat femmes on the internet for a long time, so we have limited tolerance for testing us.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah. Thank you so much for listening,
Thank
and
you.
we'll see you next week for episode 3.
Sounds good.
Okay, say goodbye, Candace.
Bye. Um